at a dusty roadside flea market. 12-year-old Emma wandered between booths with her parents, barely interested in the trinkets and second-hand tools. Then she stopped, her eyes fixed on a small rusted cage barely offering shade from the scorching sun. Inside, a battered German shepherd huddled in the corner, ribs showing through his mangy coat. His body was littered with scars. One hind leg dragged slightly, and one of his eyes was cloudy as if blinded by old trauma. He looked defeated, like he'd given up on being seen. A gruff man sitting behind the cage said coldly, $5. He's no good anymore. Broken. Can't guard, can't run. Just eats. Emma's parents tugged at her arm. Come on, honey. Let's keep walking. But she didn't move. Her heart ached. In that dog's silence, she saw a reflection of loneliness and pain that no one deserved. Without a word, she reached into her backpack, pulled out a mason jar filled with coins and crumpled bills, her entire savings from birthdays and chores, and placed it in the man's hand. I'll take him, she said firmly. The man shrugged, handed her the leash, and looked away. As she knelt beside the cage, the shepherd's dull eye met hers. Something shifted, a flicker of trust. Emma whispered, You're not broken. You're mine now. And as she opened the cage door, the dog limped out, not just toward freedom, but toward a new beginning neither of them saw coming. The ride back home is quiet, heavy with tension. Emma sits in the back seat with the dog beside her, his fur coarse and still damp from a ragged wipe down. He doesn't bark, doesn't whimper, just stares blankly out the window, his cloudy eye lost in the passing blur of trees and telephone poles. Emma watches him, heart pounding with worry and hope, gently resting a hand near him but never touching unless he moves first. I think I'll call you Shadow, she whispers, because you've been living in the dark too long. Her parents exchanged glances in the front seat, unsure whether to scold or support her. Her dad mutters, This is going to be a lot, Em. Her mom sighs, Poor thing's been through something awful. But I just don't know. That night, Shadow refuses food. Not even a bite of warm chicken lures him. He doesn't sleep either. He curls into a tight ball in the farthest corner of the garage, flinching at every creak or whisper. His ears barely twitch. His breathing is shallow, almost silent. Emma sets up a small sleeping bag across the floor from him. She doesn't try to touch or coax him anymore. Instead, she starts talking, soft, calm, steady. She tells him about school, about her favorite books, her dreams of being a vet, and how lonely it can be when no one understands you. She even starts reading to him, her voice trembling at first, but growing stronger. Her parents peek through the garage window late at night. They see Emma hunched under a blanket, a book open in her lap, whispering to a dog that won't even lift his head. She'll be heartbroken, her mother whispers. Maybe, her dad replies. Or maybe she's exactly what he needed. Days slowly pass like cautious steps on thin ice. Shadow, once frozen in fear, begins to thaw, barely but noticeably. When Emma enters the garage now, his ears flick in her direction. When she calls his name, he limps toward her, slow and uncertain, but he comes. He still flinches at sudden sounds or fast movements, but less than before. The bruises in his soul are healing one breath at a time. Emma bathes him gently, talking the whole time, even when he trembles beneath the warm water. She wraps him in towels and sits beside him until his shaking stops. Each night, he chooses to lie closer to her sleeping bag, just a few inches more than the night before. He still won't eat from her hand, but he eats when she's near. That's enough for now. Emma and her mom take him to the vet. The moment Shadow sees the sterile room and scrubs, his tail tucks, his body shrinks, and he whines low in his throat. Emma kneels beside him, whispering, It's okay, Shadow. I'm right here. After the examination, the vet's face is grave. He's been through hell, he says. Scars like these, they're from blades. Wires. Probably used in illegal fights. He didn't win, clearly, but he survived. That says something. Emma swallows hard. Her hand tightens around Shadow's paw. Can he heal? She asks. The vet looks at the dog, then at her. Physically, yes. But trust? That's the hardest wound of all. It might never fully come back. He may never be the same. Emma looks at Shadow's gentle eyes. Damaged, yes, but still watching her. She nods firmly. Then I'll give him all the time he needs. One early morning, golden light filters through the garage window, casting a warm glow over the sleeping bags, the scattered books, and the food bowl half full. Emma, still in her pajamas, rubs her eyes and opens the creaky door as she always does. Gently, so as not to startle him. But this morning is different. Shadow isn't curled in his usual corner. He's sitting up in the middle of the garage, ears perked, his cloudy eye watching the door. His tail gives a slow, deliberate thump against the concrete floor. Once, then again. Emma freezes, not wanting to scare away. Whatever fragile hope just bloomed in the space between them. "Shadow," she whispers, a hopeful smile forming. The dog lets out a soft exhale, not quite a bark, but not silence either. Something between greeting and relief. For the first time, there is expression in his eyes. Curiosity, recognition, a flicker of joy. Emma's heart leaps. She drops to her knees and opens her arms wide. "Oh my gosh, Shadow," she squeals, her voice bubbling with laughter. She races to him, arms wrapping around his thick neck. For the first time, Shadow doesn't flinch. No shrinking, no tremble. Instead, he leans in, slow, heavy, deliberate, resting his head against her shoulder with a sigh that sounds like surrender, like safety found. Emma holds him tighter, her eyes brimming with tears. "You're safe now. I promise. No one's ever going to hurt you again." Outside, the morning begins like any other. But inside that garage, something extraordinary has begun. A wounded soul reaching for healing, and a little girl proving that even the most broken hearts can learn to trust again. Weeks pass, and Shadow continues to transform. His coat shines more with every bath, his limp lessens, and his eyes, even the cloudy one, begin to reflect the world again. He's no longer just surviving. He's learning to live. Walks become part of their routine. Emma loves strolling to the neighborhood with him, proudly showing off the dog everyone once saw as too broken. One warm afternoon, as they walk past a row of houses, Shadow suddenly stops. His body stiffens, muscles coiled. A low, rumbling growl rises from his throat. His gaze locks across the street where a man, grease-stained and wiry, is hunched over the open hood of a car parked at the curb. The man doesn't notice them, or maybe pretends not to. He wipes his hands on a rag, glances around quickly, then returns to his work. "Shadow," Emma asks softly, tugging the leash. "It's okay, boy. Come on." But Shadow doesn't move. His ears are pinned, teeth slightly bared, the leash tight in Emma's hand. She's never seen him like this. Eventually, with a gentle word and a second tug, he relents. They continue walking, but Shadow keeps glancing back, growling low under his breath. That night, as Emma sits at the kitchen table, the local news hums from the TV in the background. She half listens until a breaking news alert grabs her attention. A young girl, around Emma's age, is missing. Last seen just hours ago, on the same block Emma had walked with Shadow, near that same parked car. Emma's breath catches. Her fork clatters on her plate. Her mind races back to the way Shadow froze. The warning in his growl. He hadn't been afraid. He had sensed something. Something was wrong. And maybe, just maybe, he had tried to tell her. Emma can't shake the uneasy feeling. Shadow's reaction had been too intense, too focused to ignore. She sits her parents down and tells them everything about the man with the car, how Shadow growled like he was warning her, and how the missing child was last seen in the exact same area. Her parents exchange a glance, hesitant but concerned. "We should tell someone," Emma insists. Reluctantly, they contact the local police and share the details. An officer listens patiently but doesn't seem fully convinced. "Dogs are intuitive," he says. "But unless there's concrete evidence, we can't act on a hunch." Emma is frustrated, but she doesn't press. Instead, she watches Shadow even more closely. 2 nights later, as dusk settles over the neighborhood, Shadow suddenly bolts. One moment, he's lying beside Emma's feet in the living room. The next, the screen door slams as he charges out into the dark. Emma's father jumps up. "Shadow!" he calls, but the dog doesn't stop. Emma, heart pounding, shouts, "He knows something. We have to follow him." They grab flashlights and race after him. Shadow leads them with purpose, nose low, tail stiff, through the neighborhood, around a back alley, and finally to a broken wooden fence that borders a rundown property. Behind it, hidden in overgrown weeds and shadows, sits an old shed. Shadow circles the door, barking loudly now, pawing at the rusted handle. The police arrive moments later, called by Emma's mother. Officers draw their weapons cautiously and force the door open. Inside, they find a missing child, cold, terrified, but alive. Emma gasps. Shadow whines softly and inches forward, nose brushing the boy gently. It was Shadow's scent memory, his instinct, his loyalty that had led them there. The officer turns to Emma, astonished. "Your dog just saved a life." The next morning, news of the rescue spreads like wildfire. Police launch a full investigation, and within days, the man Emma had seen by the car is arrested. Evidence links him to the crime, and the town breathes a collective sigh of relief. But amid the flashing lights and stern faces, one figure stands out. A once broken German shepherd, now standing tall beside the girl who saved him. Shadow becomes a local hero overnight. Newspapers print his photo with headlines like $5 dog saves kidnapped child, and asterisk, abused shepherd turned savior. Asterisk reporters gather outside Emma's house, eager for a glimpse of the dog who defied every expectation. The mayor invites Emma and Shadow to a small ceremony. Shadow receives a special medal from the police department, a leather collar engraved with the words Guardian. Despite the attention, Emma remains grounded. She strokes Shadow's head gently during interviews, always bringing the focus back to him. "He didn't do it for medals," she says simply. "He did it because someone finally gave him a reason to care again." In quiet moments, away from cameras and clapping hands, Emma watches Shadow lying by the fireplace. No longer afraid, no longer hiding. His scars haven't vanished, but they've softened. His eyes, once hollow, now shimmer with calm. He nuzzles Emma's hand every chance he gets, protective and proud. To the world, Shadow is a miracle, but to Emma, he's proof that broken doesn't mean worthless. It means healing is still possible. It means love, even from a little girl with mason jar coins, can rewrite an entire life. And Shadow, he doesn't bask in the spotlight. He doesn't know he's famous. All he knows is that someone believed in him, and he finally got the chance to prove she was right. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as the door creaked open. Flashlight beams danced across the darkness inside the shed. Then came a gasp, not from Emma, but from one of the officers. "He's here." Curled in a corner, pale and shivering, was the missing boy. Dirt-smudged cheeks, wide, terrified eyes, and rope marks on his wrists told the story of days in captivity. He looked up slowly, blinking against the sudden light. Emma stood frozen. Shadow let out a low whine, then stepped forward, his body low and careful, his tail gently wagging. He nuzzled the boy's shoulder with a tenderness that made the officer's throat catch. He found him, one of them whispered, astonished. He tracked him, with nothing but scent. Paramedics arrived moments later. As the boy was lifted out and rushed to safety, Shadow sat back at Emma's side, chest heaving from a run, but calm, like he knew this was what he was meant to do. Later, as the officers took statements, the truth settled in. Emma's $5 dog, the one sold as broken, had just uncovered a crime no one else could see. One officer knelt beside her and said softly, "Your dog just saved a life tonight." Emma looked at Shadow, who now leaned against her leg, his eyes half closed. She stroked his head, voice trembling with pride. "No," she whispered. "He saved too."